Hello and welcome to episode 16 of the post-production podcast. We made it past 15, boys.
Yeah, I'm finally made it to 16 actually. I'm here again. That's one of the best parts, you know. I was in last week's episode and the week before so you're in the car. That's really again.
Carpool.
And it's definitely not because Adam forgot a second battery for the other camera. It's definitely not.
No, we thought we'd try a new setup that's not at all limited by forgetting certain parts.
I'll tell you what we didn't forget this time. Topics.
Oh, we got so many
We did not forget
topics.
topics this time. So this week's episode, it's all laid out. We've got a perfect plan. You guys are going to love this. 3 movies that we watched throughout the week, one individually, on differing quality levels, that we decided to bring to the podcast and talk about them as a group. Basically just describe the movie to the other people and see if, the knowledge they got from the movie.
Yeah. I don't remember a thing. I'm trying to piece it together. Right.
And by the way, Michael's like, oh yeah, I watched the movie last night.
It's like 2 hours, 30 minutes long. Like, whoa,
You
wow.
want to ask him, like, what was your movie about? He's like, so Joe Biden gets elected.
It's like, I'm pretty sure I watched this, right? Okay.
But that is this week's podcast
It is indeed.
idea that we had. We might be doing another episode like this in the future, but each week's podcast is an ever-changing beast at this point. You know,
Keeps refreshing, keeps you interested.
keeps refreshing.
That's what
So
I'm saying.
we hope you enjoy and subscribe.
Can we get a round of applause
What?
for this setup,
Yes.
everybody?
Yeah, comment down below which type's your favourite so far if you like this one.
Come on. Johnny's Bar. Even if it's a green screen and we're not actually here. So lit.
Alright, so speaking of that, Michael, let's start with your movie.
Oh.
You can have your drink first if you want to, like to ponder your ideas.
I wasn't actually speaking. Right, I watched a sci-fi called Arrival.
Mysterious off the start.
Okay. Now, comment the rest of what I'm about to say.
Predict if you know what Mike's gonna say.
Live commenting so that Michael can read it back.
If you get it right, you win a Panasonic or a Lumix G4. Is that what it's called, Adam?
No.
Right.
Michael, by the
But
way,
anyway.
Michael, if you need to, by the way, you can use your laptop and research while you're talking about it.
No, you don't understand. The reason I'm laughing is because when Michael was saying that, he made the big comer face. He was like,
Oh,
Big comer.
I thought it was Des Rover. But yeah, man, watch The Arrival. I know it's a very popular sci-fi film, so
And you on Netflix?
on Netflix. It was just released on Netflix, I think, but
Mhm.
most people have heard of it, if not watched it. Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it.
You haven't?
Yes, I'm not most people, mate.
Okay, you're just small minority, 1%.
Have you watched it?
no.
So guys, a brief description.
Okay.
Plot.
No one's seen it. Okay, right. So it stars the actors Amy Adams, that chick in Superman, and Jeremy Renner. Everyone loves a bit of Hawkeye.
Wait. I think I've seen the
Jeremy
poster for this.
Is that it?
No. This guy's just said everyone loves Hawkeye. Now, if I was to say any Avenger in those movies that anyone would love, Hawkeye is far at the bottom of any list.
Is he right?
Yeah, I'm right. Hawkeye is.
Is he not like the main one? I don't know.
Who's the best Avenger?
Baby Yoda. I could drink to that.
Trying to be Captain America, Joe Biden.
Oh man.
Joe Biden's laptop. Oh, cheers.
Solange.
Solange.
Stuff it down my brain. But yeah, so we follow Amy Adams' character. She's the lead. Her character name is Dr. Louise Banks.
Miss Banks.
Mrs. Banks. She
Yes.
owns a lot of banks. So she's a world language translator. And she was summoned to translate what the aliens are saying. Because they had no idea what the aliens were saying.
Yeah.
So the aliens just popped down to Ohio for a quick trip.
Trip into Ohio to see the city.
Yeah, I don't know why it was Ohio. They're all over the world, but you're only seeing it in Ohio in this film.
Mm-hmm.
So
Ohio, where I'm from.
J-pop.
comment below if you're jackpot. But yeah, they're in Ohio. They have these language translators. Like when Jeremy Renner's one of them. He's the military one, and he doesn't know a lot. This is why.
Yeah.
Dr. Louise Banks is the main character.
So is Jeremy Renner like the guy that he's like, we need to take the line now? Is he like that guy?
Yeah, he's like,
Gone
oh yeah,
around.
there's military people in it. Like, there's no time. We gotta fight them.
Military people.
And then the Dr. Louise Banks is always like, no, we need to talk. We need to talk. They're not gonna blow up the SSR.
I've seen the trailer for it,
Oh yeah.
and I remember thinking like, what the f***? But like, I know the one you're talking about now. There's like, she wants to try and like strike up like it might not have to be violent.
Is that like the same that movie, the animated one, Monsters vs Aliens?
No.
That's
No, but it's the same sort of thing. Same sort of thing. Where
Or is it?
the
Was
other
it-
guy,
was it
the
animated?
president guy comes up and tries speaking to the giant robot alien.
Okay.
But then the robot
yeah.
alien sort of says no and starts kicking the guy.
That
That's not
involves
like
a
the
synth.
plot of the movie. That's like one time.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It was like a small plot bit in that, but it was like a whole story on it.
If you were like the robot and you just landed and some like president Don came up and started playing on a keyboard, you'd probably just like.
Oh yeah, and then he's seen Blob. Have you ever seen Monsters vs Aliens? Have you ever seen Blob?
I've seen it a couple
He
of
reminds
times.
me like
I know
he reminds me of Bob.
Yeah, I'm like a slimy guy. I like.
Jello Bob, Mike.
Yeah.
What you do? We talk about Monsters vs Aliens, man.
Yeah, sorry for that. By the way, you can
You
continue.
could actually because.
We could actually. We always can.
Yeah, I actually have like a snail body.
I don't know what he just done in that glass, but that was like an explosion in the glass.
And everyone says it though. Like when my trousers come off, it's like snail mode, isn't it?
What am I listening to? You bring Monsters vs Aliens. This guy's talking about his
This is
snails.
slightly about Arrival. Okay.
Yeah, this is.
I'm slightly off topic.
Sorry for bringing up another
The
movie.
slime has
Like,
arrived.
yeah, but if you think about it, kind of on topic and because like recently I heard snails are in the family of octopuses.
What?
But octopuses are from space or some or alien or I don't know. But I don't know. Do your own research. Come on. Anyway, Arrival. Yeah, so aliens turn up in Ohio. They're like trying to speak to these people, but we don't speak alien.
Yeah.
So they need some translators up in this bitch.
Mm-hmm.
So they get Dr. Louise Banks,
Mhm.
she's top notch world language translator.
Mm-hmm.
Knows Mandarin, knows Ulster Scots, knows.
It's actually a plot in the movie where you like.
Nah, I'm just like.
He's just listening
No,
on
she does know
languages.
Chinese because she was talking.
Well, like she's a world language expert. I don't think she's not gonna know Chinese.
and,
I mean, it's
yeah,
like one of the hardest languages to learn.
I know she gave up.
She's a
halfway.
world language expert. Imagine she just forgets to learn one.
But she's also really lazy, so she just only learned one language.
Alien.
Alien's the only thing she learned. How the hell? But yeah,
She can't even talk to humans.
yeah. Her husband is just down with her.
Yeah.
Although Tinder profile said if you're not alien, don't talk to me.
So I can't.
It's
even
just said in emojis.
alien emoji.
Is that what the
you
end?
know,
Is that what the end of the film is? It's just like they have to communicate to the aliens through emojis.
they're
Or
like,
it's like smiley face.
yeah, it's like she's doing
It's
like
like,
all these
you-
hand signals
you
like walk
you know,
out of Earth,
you know the boy face. It's just saying that.
and the aliens just like
The one that you used to,
explode
you just got the baseball cap and was like,
all. Yeah, and the new one I'm putting in, it's like the big exaggerated eye that pops up. Comment below if you know. But
If you know, you know.
yeah, if you know, you know. If you're into your emoji,
Rudeness.
anyway, yeah.
Who talking about?
So it's just this whole extravaganza.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to understand what these aliens are saying.
Mm-hmm.
They're providing this brand new language that they've never heard of before.
Mm-hmm.
So Dr. Louise Banks is like, holy shit. So like they kind of provide languages with this magical circle,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like the circles mean like paragraphs,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really complex, and they have to crack it with like all these mathematicians and shit. They put it into computers, and then like they calculate all the points of the circle like that are sticking out.
Mm-hmm.
Weird. It's really like interesting though. You think like is that how they would crack an alien language?
Well, if you think about it this
Cool.
way, they'd have thing called code breakers in World War II to decipher messages that are just purely in code forms, and they'd also try to understand old runes from Nordic or other mythologies
Yeah.
to try and understand their past. So it's like,
Right. Is that like the beeping thing that you see in the?
that's Morse code. So that's Morse code, but there's
That's
all
Morse code,
so
it's
stuff like that. There was like you remember that people have to try and crack that. So it's purely
Yeah, we definitely have minds.
like aliens
that
are
can do it.
aliens aren't going to come down to speak English.
Yeah.
Can
I
you
wonder if
imagine?
they would be advanced enough that they actually could. Because in this film, they're very smart. I was like,
Yeah.
Like,
you know,
yeah, they probably could.
Do you ever see aliens in the movie?
you see them a little bit, but
Mhm.
it's not about the invasion. It's more about avoiding it and understanding them. So it's not about like warfare.
Yeah.
That's what they're trying to avoid.
So as the story progresses, as they're cracking the language, is there much build up towards the end? What intensifies throughout the movie?
Probably the world. So China. So these spaceships are spread about the whole planet.
Mm.
China and Russia are both suiting up to go to war
Mm.
and like destroy the alien spaceships
Mm.
because yeah, of course they are.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
they're evil.
They're like a big metal thing in the sky should it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What did
Yeah.
it be in that?
Because it all came from the first thing the aliens said that was understandable
Mm.
early on in the film was weapon. And most countries took that the wrong way. Because like mission and weapon is like war.
Mm.
So you have to take that like heavily. Be the first one to attack.
Mm.
How did they
So-
say weapon in a way that we could understand?
That was like one of the first things
They
they cracked. I don't know why it was. It was like a 2.5-hour film.
Yeah, to be fair, it's one of those minute things that you can't. Yeah, you'd have to rewatch it again and again.
I am gonna rewatch it though. I think we should all watch
We
it.
should,
Yeah.
we should.
It's like a really cool film the way it's shot, but yeah, China was like panicking. So like they were the first to kind of yeah, they were the first to like advertise war. Then Russia got behind them.
Mm.
The America's like no, just hold off because like they're experts on it.
China's like, we don't care.
Yeah.
They
America's
speaking
working with the
Mandarin.
aliens. Yeah. But the cool thing at the end is nothing happens, so the aliens leave. It's like it was they got
So-
they
so
got
I'm-
enough of the
I'm-
language down
Yeah.
that they understood why the aliens came. That's kind of like what the whole point of the film was.
Mhm.
So it's like they got the point across before the aliens died.
No, it sounds
Yeah.
as like good. It's just the way you worded that. Where it was like,
Yeah,
the
so
cool
they-
thing at the end was nothing happened. Wait, so
Could you expect them warfare and with like gunships and all that?
So basically, so like the actual like the protagonist mission actually succeeds.
Yeah.
So like
Because at the end you see China and all put their guns down, like they're all surrounding the spaceships,
mm.
and then are we doing spoilers? I don't know.
Well, the thing
yeah,
is-
you can do spoilers.
well,
man.
the thing is,
Spoilers.
do you want to? Because all three of the movies we picked, the one you
Oh,
picked,
well,
we haven't seen.
I'm saying the twist ending of mine.
We haven't
Yeah.
seen it. Like our
That's
rival,
fair.
you and me haven't seen. Gran Torino, you haven't seen. So it's like, do we
Well,
want?
no,
to?
I'm saying this plot. I don't care if it's a spoiler or not. Is
I still want to see the movies, even if we know how it ends. But
Yeah.
what is it? Yeah, like what did the aliens come for then?
Aliens came to warn or ask for planet Earth's help in 3,000 years. That's how I was thinking. Like the aliens are so smart. How did they not know
What?
English? They made the main character, Dr. Louise Banks, understand the alien language through like forward-thinking flashback things. It's weird.
Like an ascension almost. Like
yeah, because she thinks they're in the past, and she's like, "Who's this little girl that's in my flashbacks?"
Okay.
But like at the end, it's found out that that's actually her future, and her daughter is the one that will speak alien tongue or something. So like
that's bizarre. Like, I was like,
yeah, it's like
fate
lies in your daughter's hands.
Yeah. But the weird thing about that is like if it's 3,000 years, it's like that's not daughter. That's like actually have an effect. It's like great.
I mean, her alien genetics though passed down 3,000 years.
The bizarre thing as well is like that's a strange thing to ask for as well, because like you could imagine, this might be getting way too philosophical for it, but like that would almost become like a religion then.
Oh yeah.
And I think about it I don't even know what 3,000 years.
Well, sure. People go on. Continue on. I'll elaborate.
Well, I was gonna say like 2,000 years ago, you had like Jesus and stuff like that, right? So that's stuff that like nowadays people are like, no, Jesus is real. He's coming back and stuff. You could imagine in that movie's universe, it'd probably be something similar, where it's like in like a couple of thousand years time that people are like, no, I swear, like 3,000 years ago, the stories have been passed down that aliens came and they need our help, they're coming back. It could almost be like a religion.
Well, yeah. I think it's one of them cool things where it's like, you know, people already believe in our world that aliens visited the Mayans, or people believe that the pyramids were built by aliens, stuff like that there. And you could imagine that probably in this world, because humanity is so advanced, it would only cause them to advance further.
Yeah.
When they'd be able to speak to them rather than, because you have to remember, we would have been like, not cavemen, but barely beyond cavemen if aliens came down at that point. So when people write it down, they're just like, oh well, it could have been like, I don't know, like some sort of monkey. It's just come to.
Well, that's what alien means, it's like unknown.
Yeah, like unknown. Like, it could just be like a different species of like ape or anything like that. There, it's like humanoid.
Oh, this one every said it. There's a quote that popped into my head. I seen it like ages ago. Someone posted it on. I can't remember if it was Facebook or Instagram or maybe it was Twitter, but it was basically this person was saying when you're on the topic of like thousands of years ago, us seeing like humanoid like aliens, and he's basically been like, he says that the scariest thing about the fact that, you know, if you see like something that's nearly human, like it won't, like the whole uncanny valley thing, where we see like maybe like androids, like I can't remember, there was an android built a few years ago, but you see them and they don't look quite human, or there's there's things that like look almost human but there's something off. It like really creeps us out.
It's why people fear mannequins.
Yeah, that mannequins is a perfect one. It's like if you look at a mannequin, they're like humanoid, right? No. But they're not. So they creep you out, right? But this person basically said that like an interesting thing to think about is maybe there's something in human history, something like evolutionary that we've seen or that happened to us that has given us that baked in fear of something that looks like us but isn't us.
Even then, like, because if you can imagine, humans come from tribe forms. Like, humans are quite a tribal like species. Yeah. So you think about it, if you see something that looks human but you can't trust it, it will make you fear it because you don't know if you can trust it actually within your group, because you're not even 100% sure if it's human or not. So like, it's why like things like shapeshifters or things like that, they're always so scary to humans for us, because like it can just infiltrate it. Yeah. Your normality. Mannequins, for example, you look at a mannequin, but sometimes you look at a mannequin and sometimes you think the mannequin's turned almost like the there's statues, not statues, what are they called? Weeping angels. Yeah. Oh, that's why that stuff's creepy.
Yeah, Doctor Who.
Because it's always like they look human but they're not. That was really bad explanation.
But humans are probably better at deciphering that. Yeah. I seen like a video of a cat seeing like a different, like a cat toy that was like crawling around it, that just like jumps and flew miles. The cat toy wasn't real; it was just sitting there. You know, it's funny. Like if something's a bit off, you know, you'd be like, "What is this?"
But it's just such an interesting thing to think about, because you think like, you know, like if you were in the middle of a jungle and you seen a lion, it triggers like a fight or flight thing inside you, because obviously like, I'm gonna speak to the lions.
Do you
see me? Yeah, talking about you.
THC said hello to the podcast. Say hello to THC.
There's
lads.
Big Chungus.
Came back for that mark. She likes that mark, mate. Oh, you've a couple on it, man.
You bracket, you buy it.
But if you've seen a lion, it would trigger that fight or flight thing, because obviously how many of like our ancestors were eaten by lions, like trying to like go out and get stuff.
Yeah, naturally you'd probably be like,
So
you
it's
have
that
to kill
same
this
thing.
thing.
Whenever you see a mannequin and it triggers that same instinct, it's like,
Yeah.
what did we see in the past that like made us fear that type of thing?
Oh man, like yeah, it's funny.
No, it's funny, but like, you know,
Yeah.
Oh, that's actually it's like a really good discussion to have. Like from watching that movie, because
Yeah,
it leaves
I
so
wanna
much
get
intrigue
that
and it leaves so much of
too.
an open ending.
do
That's
they,
the theme
do
of
they
an alien.
mention why they need to hold them to 3,000 years, or is it just left at
It's kind of left up to interpretation.
Yeah.
that? That's bizarre.
Which is quite good though, because I feel as if a movie gives you like a straight line answer, it's always kind
Yeah, the closure kind of lies with what happens or concludes to her flashbacks or forward thinking.
yeah.
You know, you kind of get into her family life afterwards.
Yeah.
So it's like that's how it closes, and it's nicer
Yeah.
rather than like describing the whole reason why the aliens were here.
Mhm.
It's more like you have to pay attention very closely for 2.5 hours,
Yeah.
Yeah.
catch all those details
Mm-hmm.
in that.
Come in. Seems outside. But he didn't tell you what the poem was about, and he's not going to, because it's not going on YouTube. But let's get on to the meat potato.
You. You. It is. I can see the PSNI thing on it.
Here, we'll roll the window down.
Yeah. Oh, he's going somewhere else.
yours, Adam. Yeah.
All right.
There we are. If it comes to that, I'm probably going to kill myself. That was dreadful. People have been calling it the Beast of Ballyboogie. You come around that and you're like, guys, you're like civilization.
Yeah.
And we're like, wait.
Now he finds it.
Are you the bushland beast?
Yeah. I'm thinking I'm back.
Who says that again?
John Wick.
That's it, yeah.
You killed my dog.
Are we recording now?
You keep asking if I'm back, and I'm thinking, yeah, I'm retired.
THC done. Alright, we'll start with
Alright.
welcome back from the break. Hope you enjoyed that Patreon break for a second or two. We're going to the second movie now, which is my film, which I'm very proud to announce. This film, Ghosts of War. Throw up picture if we can, if we have the time.
Throw it up. Spins in.
So this is a horror film set in World War II and beyond, as I will explain throughout this time. Released on the 18th of June 2020, directed by Eric Bress, and that's Bress, not Breast. It's just
Oh, I thought it was.
and made by, and if you don't know what this type of movie is, it's made by a production company called Miscellaneous Entertainment, and Ingenious Media are amongst them.
Of course. It is.
So this movie starts off with them in a field. Oh god, not THC. Oh my god. So this movie starts off in a field with you have 5 soldiers being Chris, who's like the main character, right? I know, Chris Redfield. Tappert, who's like the sniper of the unit. So you've got your main guy, Chris, who's like your normal sort of like sergeant, lieutenant, like, but he's quite young, so he's quite new to it. You've got Tappert, who has a mustache like me, has a beanie, and is a sniper or recon expert. You've Richie, played by Alan Richardson, who actually plays the newest Jack Reacher. So if you've seen that.
Who's
show.
Jack Reacher? That's that TV show.
It's that TV screw. Tom Cruise done a movie of it, Alan Richardson is the new guy, so he's in it. And let me see here, there's Eugene as well, and then I think there's one more, but I can't remember his name. Like, I'm looking at the card list.
Brock.
I don't think it's Brock. That one's gonna be real. It might be this guy who's like, I think his name's Kirk. So Eugene has glasses, and then Kirk's the other soldier. And it starts with them in a field, and they're noticing they just see Nazi soldiers. They kill them, but then as they go on their journeys,
Don't mind THC, I am listening.
So as they're going on across like Germany, or what they think is Germany, as I'll explain later on, they get to a what I think is meant to be a like Nazi high value property. So basically, someone has art or an old mansion, basically. That Nazis
it's like abandoned.
It's like a key holding point. The Nazis abandoned it days before.
Nice.
So they get there and they discover, wait, this is abandoned. Why is it abandoned? We were told it was going to be fortified. As the movie goes on, you basically start getting feelings of, okay, well, this has been abandoned by Nazis for a reason. They wouldn't do that. But then then it's like kind of like a normal war movie for a second. So it goes, oh, they're actually attacking. So the Nazis actually attacked the building. But as that goes on, they're the paranormal like entities or spirits that are meant to be the Hellwig family who used to live there, who were Jewish, basically start killing people during the fight. And it's actually done in a not too bad way. So
they're
ghosts, but basically so something like this here, guy goes near the bathtub, it fills up with water and they pull him in. It's actually done in a way that actually is sort of believable.
Yeah.
Like I'll give it props on that. Yeah, it looks pretty good at points. But as you're going through the movie, each of the soldiers has ways of how they die. Right? So you have visions of it. So they wake up and they're like having nightmares, etc. One of the guys, which one was it again? It was the Tabert. Eugene and Chris have conversations first with Lieutenant and the one with glasses. Now you're not going to know it unless you watch it, but they basically have conversations about like how he basically killed a bunch of kids at one point, but they're SS kids. But so it's like sort of they're like wondering if it's justified or not. What actually comes out
killing kids isn't justified.
And then he does a ritual afterwards. What actually comes out after that is that he didn't do that. It's like later on maybe you find out he doesn't, but it's kind of like a story plot point that they basically don't trust this guy, but he's basically their best soldier.
Okay.
Alan Richardson's character dies at one point during the battle. He just gets hit by a grenade, and it's kind of donezoed for him. Goes on throughout. Battle ends. They're sort of wondering, do we leave this place or not? They start getting creepy things like in every horror movie.
They're still wondering if they should leave it.
Yeah.
And there's like a
because they don't realise that those guys have been killed by ghosts.
They're all separated.
Yeah, it's all separated throughout.
Yeah.
So, because they are still fighting Nazis as well. And so's THC.
Put a Nazi on
so it's actually done in a good way. They sort of try to like kind of have a battle where they actually incorporate the spirits into it in some sort of way of fashion, because I didn't think that would work at all. I was watching, I was like, what's going on? I was like, why are they using them now? I was like, okay, well, it actually doesn't matter. Then in the movie they have they're sort of staying there for a while. They kind of realize, wait, we kind of need to wait here because we're meant to hold this post.
Yeah.
But as it gets more and more apparent that they're having these visions and that the Hellwig family are like cursing them, they're like, we should get the out. And this is where the movie takes a nosedive for the worst, in my opinion, because they basically walk around. They basically go and set up a camp. The next day they go on a walk again, so they leave after being told they can't leave or they'll die. They just do that, and you're like, okay, right.
Who tells them that?
The ghosts.
Yeah,
the ghosts. I know the most apparent fashion. Imagine like on this wall comes up like, you will die, stuff like that.
No, I won't.
Right. That's what I mean. Like you've seen it in all horror movies where they have stuff that is paranormal. Then ask questions about if you need like any context throughout, because I'm just explaining this plot.
I'm personally, I think I wanted to just quickly ask is the fights.
Yes.
So the spirits possessing them, how are they?
No. So basically, the spirits set up accidental deaths.
Oh.
So like, the guy's near the bathtub. He basically falls into it.
But like the spirits can like push them.
Yeah, but the spirits can't physically hurt them.
Okay, and they can pick things up.
It can pick things up. It can move things. It can like push people over.
Yeah, I suppose.
Kind of like a poltergeist.
Can you see the red dot?
Yeah, I can.
You can.
Yeah.
My eyesight that
top
bad?
right. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Your eyes are closed.
So, yeah. So while I was in, Chris makes we can't stay here. They all kind of like agree with him. They leave because Richie's already dead. So it's at this point it's Chris, Tapper, Kurt, and Eugene, with sort of Eugene being the most scared out of them because I think his finger got broke at one point by the spirit.
What was
I'm sort of
finger?
I'm sort of kind of glossing over a story, but like there's points in it I'm not going to spoil like that, even though I did, but like I saw it was really bad for me.
Eugene's just
But like,
sitting there like,
I'm kind of just going over the main points. So when they have after their night in the camping trip, well not camping trip, their camping expedition after leaving it, they wake up. All of them wake up with nightmares. They go on a walk the next day. What do they find? They end up where they are at the start of the movie. So basically what they realise is, and they keep walking around, kind of like in, what's the found footage film? Blair Witch, the second one, or the first one. They walk around in circles, but they can't find their way out. And this is where the movie sort of takes a predictability turn. Because like, okay, right, the spirits sort of set up a perimeter of what they can do is change their sense of reality. So they go back, and what they realise was the Hellwig family doesn't want to be buried. Kind of like the movie with Daniel Radcliffe. Women in Black. So, but what ends up happening is each of their visions of them dying is what happened to the Hellwig family because they were killed by the SS. So, one of them was drowned in a bath.
Okay.
One of them was burned to death. One of them was hung in the basement, which is basically the visions you see throughout the film. And one of them is just shot, I think. Which is the last one, which is the dad.
Nice.
Which is the dad, but like there's two kids and a mum, so you can imagine how brutal the deaths are.
Yeah.
So, as they're like basically trying to like stop the demons, they finally like give them graves, lock them away. But then comes possibly I don't even know if they succeed or not. That's one thing I can't remember fully. But what comes in was, I would say, and I'm going to say now, if you've ever watched a sci-fi film, and when I mean by sci-fi, I mean Sci-Fi Channel, this is like a level on those movies how bad the plot twist is.
Right.
So you get transported from 1940s Germany, mid-1940s Germany, towards the end of the war when they're entering Germany. From there to a futuristic lab facility, and it turns out it's a simulation. All of these, the five main characters, all have had basically no limbs blown off.
Right.
And they've been put in a simulation.
Where they have all their limbs.
No, where they have all their limbs, but the simulation is freaking out. So the actual simulation has a spirit in it.
Oh fuck.
This is where the plot twist makes no fucking sense. So then you get transported to a flashback, right? Where they're in Syria. And this is
cereals.
yes. So
For cereal.
So what happens in the movie is it actually is what happened in real life. So in real life they were American soldiers in Syria who got help from an informant, went to his house. Tapper basically talks to some kids outside and gives them like American memorabilia, which basically is meant to relate to in the movie him apparently killing kids at one point. But he's not. He's actually one of the kindest hearted members, soldiers in the group. They go inside. Turns out, like Al Qaeda already know this guy's an informant. They have to go hide in the basement, and instead of rushing out to help the soldiers, because they also have like some like CIA agency guy with them. They basically watch as the Al Qaeda basically brutally torture and kill these informants, this informant and his family. Which turns out to be that family is meant to be the the Hellwig family.
Oh, for sake.
And they're the ones that are cursing them because as they left, the mum, who was still not dead, runs out with a suicide bomb vest and basically curses them after blowing them up, which leads to them being in this facility, which leads to them being put in this simulation where they're in World War II. But it's not meant to be cursed. It's meant to basically give them a place where they can live normally. But they're cursed by this family from Syria who died and put a curse on them.
So what's the point in like the whole World War II thing?
That's my point. The whole movie is ruined
Because they needed a place where they can have limbs.
it's
It just so happens
basically
they have
the way
possessed
the guy, the main doctor describes it is like World War II is one of the best like examples of like togetherness in the military, and where you can have the most brotherhood, and it was like the issue of it is you spend so much time in this World War II world, and you're actually like so like committed to the theme that it pulls you out of that theme, tells you, shows you what happened. Oh no, I remember what happened now. They basically all die. Then they get pulled out of the simulation. Well, the main guy Chris does. Then he figured out what happened, and then he asks them, "Put me back in," and then he turns to the thing and goes, "I know what we did now," and that's when the movie ends.
Deep.
So it ends on a cliffhanger of him basically talking to the spirit, being like I know what we did, because basically the spirit is nearly crashing this whole facility. It is possibly one of the worst ever, and I mean worst plot twists I have seen in any movie. And even people who are watching this, I commend you if you can watch that movie and say if you understood how that twist worked.
Well, how would you end it?
No,
How would you do any of it?
Yes.
I don't know. The ghosts were
That's right. So they actually had a strong theme. They had a good set of characters, like established. Not the
Good
most,
character arcs,
not the most plot-driven movie, right? Like not like the characters aren't. They're template characters, right? Like they're not the most like, fleshed out characters. You don't see backstories of them or anything. But by the end of it, like by the point they nearly did plus, you're getting towards the end. Like the main horror movie, like actually like, things are happening. Everyone's getting hunted, things like that. And then the movie just sidetracks completely. And I was watching. I was watching like 2 a.m. and like just lying there like, what is happening?
So the gist of it is these soldiers obviously like they done bad things, right? Involving a Syrian family.
Yes.
And then because the soldiers were injured, they're put into a simulation.
Yes.
Where they pretend to be World War II soldiers.
Yeah.
And the facility, which is actually controlled by spirit, is all of the Syrian family are pretending to be a Jewish family.
Yes.
What the f***?
It sounds so ridiculous.
Yeah, but
I think
so it's not really they done anything bad. It's that they didn't act the safe, because they're meant to be the protectors of this family in that instance. So because they didn't fulfill their duty,
they got hurt.
They basically got hurt, and because they died, the mum basically ran out and basically, like, obviously, I'm not meaning this in a rude way, but it is some form of like Islamic curse.
I said it.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I'm like I mean not in any offensive
I was
way.
thinking
But
that when you first said it.
like obviously it is because of where they are, but the issue with the movie is it all happens so quickly at the end. So they have this like what's the runtime? Can I see what the runtime is?
It's not going to be over 2 hours.
Let me see.
Then that would probably help it.
1 hour 34 minutes, and I swear, so about 94 minutes. I would say about 65 to 70 minutes of that, so even 75, I would say, is spent in the World War II world. So you literally just run through the simulation part. It feels as if they got to the point of like, how do we end this?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, simulation, Syria, high-tech facility. It was really bizarre. And like, if anyone has actually watched this movie, can you please like help me understand how someone thought that was a good ending?
You know what I think would make it a little bit better?
What?
If there was... I just thought about this. So Tim Burton is really good at this, where he does really quick flashbacks into the characters' past. And it's just like a quick shot, it's comical, it's funny. But it doesn't have to be like that.
So,
but like no, in this particular, like how you can make this good is having a quick flashback to why they're scared of ghosts. And it's like one of the men as a child sitting up in their bed and there's like footprints under the doors. Under the door frame.
So
why are they scared of this stuff?
I can see what you're getting at. They try to do that throughout the movie, where so what I realized is I remember something. So one of them does a ritual. So Taggart, I think his name is, does a ritual where he's the one who does the ritual in the basement, right? So he has visions of doing that. The other three have visions of them dying throughout the movie, but the issue with it is that's all connected within one world, which then turns out to be, which they then basically go, okay, well we have one world, now you have a second which is them in like real life where they're basically all like, I don't use the term, they're basically fully crippled, like they're basically missing legs, missing arms, one of them basically has no like face. It's like they're basically fully done for, but they're given another world where they can live, which gets then possessed.
Do they know they're in that world?
Only Chris finds out
Because he wakes up.
because he wakes up. The rest of them don't.
So theoretically, when he gets put back in, he's like living in there knowing.
He knows, he's the only one who knows that the opposite happened.
Damn, sucks to be him.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the theme of be careful what you wish for, because they were like, oh look at us, we're decrepit. Let's go into a video game where we have.
No, they didn't ask for anything though. So
what put them in it? Sorry.
So they weren't put in by their own accord. They were only put in by their bodies were basically put forward for this project after they'd obviously been blown up.
So like the hospital put them through it when they were unconscious.
Yeah, so that's basically they were just like sidetracked straight into this facility.
Right. Okay.
To basically, it was like they basically it was like the perfect opportunity to basically to basically see like, if it would actually help. In theory, there's some aspects of it. This is actually cool. Where it's like one world, the spirit hunts them, but in another one they can't get away from that. It kind of gives that aspect, but it's just also very like.
Yeah, I'm seeing some stuff that works with it though.
It
just needs a little bit more.
It just needed runtime. That's what
that's what I was gonna say.
It just needs runtime.
That would make it better if it was longer.
Yeah.
Like that's my
But
argument.
also I think that the way it's done, and I've seen it done before in shows and movies, it feels as if they had a certain amount done and then they were like, how can we end this? They didn't know how to end it within their theme. So then they were just like, well, we have to come up with a different idea.
Yeah, there needs.
And then they were wrong to make a plot twist. They had to shoehorn one in.
Yeah,
And they didn't really think about it too
and
much.
ending is not drawn out enough.
Yeah, like, well,
It's like
everything up until the plot twist is done, like, in my opinion, as well as you can for the budget they probably had, right?
Oh yeah.
Even the acting was pretty good. Then you get to the plot twist and you're like, this feels so ran through. Like, it feels as if it feels as if they were doing an endurance race, and then they got to the ending and they're like, okay, like, we'll just sprint.
Yeah.
Like it just didn't really make any sense. Like I still think it's a decent movie. It's on Netflix as well, and there's aspects that I think can be good, but the ending could have been done so much better. But you know, if you have any more questions about it,
It could have been a budget thing. Like you think about how many films are held back from their true potential just by the budget.
Well,
because it's such a hard thing to make.
That does sound like. That's some stuff you take into account when you're making a film. Is what your budget is. That sounds like they overshot that.
The location of the mansion, the costumes, the actors,
actors on the payroll, hourly wage.
It was very good.
Expensive,
Like I've watched a bunch of movies that look like no low budget. These guys made everything look really good, and the thing is, the reason why I watched it was I've never really seen a World War II horror movie. Other than, I forget what the movie was called, but I don't know if John Boyega's in it. But I watched one that was really good. I need to figure out the name of it again. But I basically had never seen many World War II horror movies. This one looked somewhat decent. Watched it, and when you get in, when you're expecting like this a good World War II horror movie, at the end you're getting thrown into Syria and put into like future things. And I was like, it's just good. I would rate it a solid, like, if the movie was without the ending, I'd rate it like a 7, and then once you add in the ending, it's like a 5, because like the ending just completely threw me off.
That's honest. It's honest.
Like, and I would say the actors done a good job.
Yeah.
The costumes were really good. Just and it was just
Everything has to tie together so perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is his fault. It is his fault if we don't know how to end this. Let's just shoehorn in something. That's how I describe it.
Yeah, it's a tricky one.
Like they basically go back to when I was talking about it, and this like when I was talking about it, and it's like, what if you're watching the movie, you've watched it, listen to what I say, and just like think of what I said, watch the movie, and then see if you can go like, okay, this makes sense.
Oh yeah, you put a lot of good thought into this too.
Yeah, like
You know, you've been a lot.
it's really been on my mind recently. This movie, it's been on my mind. So because it's just it's one of those like you know when you see like top 10 plot twists, right, or like stuff like that. There, like actually really good plot twists in movies. It's like this one's like you know something like add to a movie.
Yeah.
It completely detracts from the movie in my opinion. So
sometimes.
it was a good. That's why I chose it as like my example for this week.
You know, a lot of people actually said that about The Village, that they think that plot twist detracted from the movie. They said it shouldn't have been set in modern day at all.
Yeah. Then like the alternative would be like a one-liner and cut the black.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, what's impactful to the most amount of people?
Yeah.
It's like hard to know.
That's the thing.
But like the one I was gonna say, if it was throughout the entire movie where like they didn't know their inseminations, but like the audience sort of knew, and they were getting transported from like wartime to wartime getting hunted,
yeah.
that would be a cool one. That could be a cool thing where they go from like World War II to Vietnam to like, for example, like I don't know, like somewhere like
If it repeated across a couple of different wars,
different
then it
areas,
would
or
be
even like
the same
even from
story.
like the Civil War,
Yeah.
from the Civil War, World War II, or World War One, World War II, Vietnam, modern day. That could be a cool concept for a film, but it just
It
in
still
this one,
sounds quite complex,
Yeah.
because if it's going to be a simple plot and the audience are asking a
Yeah.
lot of questions, then you're doing something wrong.
yeah,
Too
Like-
much ideas.
yeah, that's what I'm
you
saying.
oversaturate stuff.
Like the end,
It's like-
it feels as if they have like one cohesive story. Like it sounds like a broken record. You have one cohesive story,
yeah.
right? Where like you're sort of asking some questions about one plot, but then you get thrown open so many questions in the space of like 15 to 20 minutes, and then the movie just ends before you're allowed to have any conclusion.
Yeah.
So
It all depends on how you present like the answers as well.
yeah,
I think there was an interview I was watching the other night. It was with what's his name? It was Sam something. He voices Darth Maul in the Clone Wars series,
Mhm.
and he was basically talking about like, the first Star Wars movie, and he was just like, the only reason that movie worked is because of how George Lucas introduced all the plots.
Mhm.
Because he says like it's a metric ton of information to give to someone, but because of the way it's presented, it all seems like it all breezes by. I think the exact quote, he was just like, yeah, Luke Skywalker shows up, he's on this planet, he goes and visits Obi-Wan, who's apparently this mysterious guy, and he's sitting talking to him, oh, you fought in the Clone Wars and all this type of stuff.
Mhm.
And it's, the way it's presented, the audience is like, oh yeah, he fought in the Clone Wars, but like reality, like what the is that?
yeah.
But it's only because of the way it's presented in a
Yeah,
very
it's like
realistic,
the idea of like
understandable
of, like,
way.
show the audience and
Yeah.
let them come like let them follow along. Don't just tell them constantly this is
Yeah.
what's happening, this is what's happening, which is what happens at the end of that movie. It's like they're showing you what's happening and you're sort of putting the pieces together, being like, okay, this guy's dying how like the mother died, this guy's dying how like the daughter died, this guy's setting up the ritual.
Yeah.
But then there's like, oh yeah, so you guys all died in like this like bomb accident that happened in Syria. We put you all in this heat. We put you in this simulation. But you guys there's not meant to be a spirit in there with you. It's all meant
Yeah.
to be, and it's
So
like
use
it's
the theme of
basically
death as to get raised and to die.
it's basically
Yeah.
constant. It's like these are reasons why you're this plot twist is happening. This is reason,
Yeah.
and they're just telling you through this
Information
main
dump.
doctor guy, and you're just sitting there like it's kind of like how I describe it. You're sitting there the entire movie, and it's like this is actually good. This is good.
And then,
I'm enjoying this, and then you see that and you're like really?
Yeah, because these are good soldiers. Like, you paint soldiers as good because they fight for you.
Yeah.
But they're all getting killed, so like, why would you agree with that material?
Yeah.
You know, what's the reason they're being killed? Or have they done something bad?
Yeah, and then it's sort of like
They deserve it.
yeah.
well, the whole thing was gonna be that the spirit the Helvig family were haunting that building because they were basically massacred by brutally tortured by SS and Nazis.
Oh, and they got the blame.
Yeah, and like since they just kill anyone who comes in to get like revenge, but like it's like secretly because in like the simulation, this family was like basically killed for being informants for the US military, and these soldiers who were then put in the simulation
For soldiers.
didn't do anything about it. So the guys were basically just like following orders and they didn't want to. They were just told to, and then they just end up getting hunted. So it's like
But they didn't get a choice to be inside the simulation. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like what I'll say is,
Like Avatar.
guys, if you ever watch Ghost of War, right? It's not the best movie in the world. I'd say watch it because it's got one of the strangest plot I've ever seen, as you've probably heard me babble on about for the last 10 minutes. But I'd like to see in the comments if anyone could actually like comprehensively write why it was a good or bad plot twist.
Guys, you better hit like in this one.
What was that, Michael?
You better hit like in this one.
And we're back after another break. And we're ready to go on to our third and final film. The one that I watched, which is Clint Eastwood's Gran Torino. He both directed it and starred in it.
Mm-hmm.
He does that often.
That's someone we both know. Yeah.
Seagal. No.
Steven Seagal.
I think Clint Eastwood probably does a better job than Seagal. And actually, before we get into anything, I seen today something about Steven Seagal calling out that Chuck Norris couldn't protect people.
Oh shit.
Something about that, but
He's
I don't
like
know. I don't know. I just read a random headline.
Chuck
like,
Norris just
you know,
chops his head off.
don't get at me in the comments about it, you know. But like, so like, essentially, just he's calls out who he wants. But
so Gran Torino, it's one of those movies that I seen like clips popping up for on YouTube all the time, and I watched a few of them, thought they were sick, and then I seen it when I was in CX like a year ago, and I bought it and never watched it.
I'm sorry, I thought you were gonna go. Yeah, so those movies I thought, oh, this looks sick, and then I went and bought it and CX, watched it. It was.
I never watched it, not because I didn't want to, just didn't have the time. And then I sat down last night and I watched it. It's really, really good. Basically, what it's about is it starts off. So Clint Eastwood's wife has just died, and it's at her funeral. And you get the gist from the funeral that her family doesn't seem to be very respectful or really care, and it goes to like the way they after funerals you'll go back to like the house of whoever's related to whoever's died.
Yeah.
And they go back to Clint Eastwood's house, and like none of the family seem to give a the kids are just running about doing whatever, and then his oldest grandchild, which is his granddaughter, she's like really like just like a spoiled brat basically, and she's like she comes into the garage and starts talking to Clint Eastwood about like, so what are you going to do with like your Gran Torino, which is his 1968 Gran Torino, is his car. What are you going to do with that when like you die? And he's just sort of like looks at her and then just sort of like walks out, and she's like, oh, and I also need some like furniture, and I've seen some furniture upstairs, and it's like his wife's just died and you're asking him what he's going to do with whenever he dies. It's like they're setting up that the family A doesn't care about him and B are just really selfish. And basically the plot of the film is very much like
Americans.
Clint Eastwood is basically, I don't know if I would go and say that his characters, I wouldn't quite say his characters are racist, but he's quite old fashioned. And the whole point of the story is it's kind of like him learning to care about people based on their merits instead of like where they come from. In a sense, that's what it's about.
Is he a war veteran in this movie?
He fought in the Korean War.
Yeah, which
boy.
Which you find out throughout the film through different dialogue. He really is ashamed of his time in the Korean War, because there's like a few lines. There's a line where he's like, someone says to him, it's like, you shouldn't be ashamed of what you've done at that war. There were a lot of guys in the same position as you. And I think his line back to him is like, it's not the thing that hunts a man is not what he's told to do, it's what he does, and he's not told to do it. So basically implying that he was probably, like a lot of guys in the Korean War, probably rougher than they needed to be, and done things that they shouldn't have done. But so there's like a whole bunch of like immigrants that start to live on the street, and next door this this family, where are they from? Because if I get this wrong, I'm like gonna get like toasted. They're Southeast Asian. Oh, for flip's sake, you're back.
As soon as you said Southeast Asian, THC is like, here I am. Okay.
I was gonna make a joke, but I'm not there. Can you like?
Where are they from? Korea?
They're not Korean.
Taiwan. Thailand,
They might be.
Indonesian,
No, they might be, but what?
Vietnamese.
They are.
Cambodian.
We have
They
to
might
stop.
be. They might be. They might be Vietnamese. I'm trying to remember. There's a line that gives it away, but either way. So they move in next door. The family next door is a grandmother, like the mum, and then like twin children. So there's like a girl called Sue, and there's a guy called Tao. Now there's also Tao's cousins live on the same street, and they're like, well, or a couple of streets over, and they're like gangsters. They're like a gang. They go around terrorizing people, and they basically kidnap Tao and basically convince him that he needs to join this gang. This is the only way he's going to make it in America. And what he needs to do is like initiation into the gang is to steal this 1968 Gran Torino from a house down the street. That's Clint Eastwood's house. So basically, he's woken in the night because he can hear stuff in the garage, and he basically confronts. Like Tao's basically like he's trying to steal the car, but long story short, Clint Eastwood like chases him away. Like he doesn't get away with it, and then like the next day, the gang shows up at Tao's house to basically they kick the out of him because he didn't do what he was told to do, and they have this like scene where he's like dragged onto the lawn, but they kind of accidentally sort of spill over to like Clint Eastwood's lawn. As it's probably like one of the most famous scenes in the movie where Clint Eastwood comes out with like a M1 Garand, like his rifle, and it's basically telling him like, if you don't get off my lawn, I'm gonna like kill yous.
I've seen a clip of that.
You probably have, and like the family next door, you know, like Sue, Tao, and like the mum and the grandmother are all like, thank you. They see him as a hero, but he's just like, no, I just get off my lawn. Like I just don't want this gang on my lawn, sort of thing. And he wakes up the next day and like all of like the Asian families in the street were like bringing him like all these food things that they prepared, and he's just like, what the f-? Like I'm not like I'm not anyone's hero. I just didn't want you like on my lawn.
My hero, Chris Redfield.
There's like a few other scenes with his family where they like show up on his birthday, and they basically the presents are all like really. They might think they're doing him a favour, but it really pisses them off. Like they bring him this phone that has like numbers that are like that size, as if he can't see like the numbers on a regular phone, and they bring him like they're trying to get him moved into a care home, and he's just like he just throws them out. He's just like, get away from me.
Birthday to me.
But Sue shows up later and was just like, what are you doing? He was just like, oh well, you know, it's my birthday, I'm like just, you know, drinking a beer. She was like, we should come over, we're having like a party sort of thing. And he goes over there and it's like it's half funny, half really uncomfortable because he doesn't know how to interact with anyone. Like there's a bit where he does something that's considered almost offensive in their culture and they're all looking at him, and Sue's like, oh, you shouldn't have done that, and Clint Eastwood's just like, what are you looking at anyway? And it's just like, it's funny, but there's like a scene he starts to get on.
It'll last longer.
He starts to get on really well with him, and everyone he seems to be okay. And there's a scene where he goes into the bathroom because he's like starting to cough up some blood, and he like sort of says to himself in the mirror, he's just like, Jesus, I have more in common with these people than I do my own family. And it's like starting to build up that okay, he seems to be getting on well with these people because like he doesn't. His actual kid, not his grandkids, he has 2 sons, and you see them at the start. They don't seem to care about him at all. But Tao starts to throughout the film become almost like a surrogate son for him, basically, because there's after he goes home because he sort of like makes fun of that guy Tao because it's like this girl that Tao fancies at the party, and he's just like, you're never gonna ask her out because you're a big fat pussy. Like, he's just making fun of him, and then the next day, Tao's mum and Sue bring him over to like Clint Eastwood's house and is like, look, you have to, like, he's going to work for you essentially for a couple of weeks because when he tried to steal your car, he dishonoured the family name, so we need him to work for you. And Clint's right, fine, I'll figure something out. So it's like there's like montages of him like, let's say someone in the street will come and be like, oh, there's a wasp nest under my like porch, like Clint Eastwood like, right, that's your next job, and they'll sort of like go at it together. And it's basically, he's almost like turning Tao into like a man essentially, and like, although it's good for Tao because he's starting to get more embedded in where he is, come, you know, through to himself. It's also good for Clint Eastwood because he's almost getting, you know, he's
getting like the son that he wanted.
Yeah, essentially.
Cares about him, yeah.
So there's like a scene where like Tao they go to like this hairdresser who's been like, I think Clint Eastwood's hairdressers for years. And he's trying to teach. It's like a funny scene. He's trying to teach Tao how guys talk to each other, and he's not good at it at all. And then the next scene is like they have him. He gets him a job at this construction site, and it's the same sort of thing. Like he's starting to get Tao to like be a man.
Trying to help Tal embed into society, like American society.
And there's like a bit where they go that Tal's like, how am I supposed to do this job? I don't have any tools. And Clint Eastwood's right, I'll take you to this hardware store, I'll buy the tools and you can pay me back when you get your first check. So they do that, and there's like a scene where like Tal's like, thanks for doing this, and Clint he's just like, oh sure, and Tal's like, no, like seriously, I just want to like thank you. It's almost like he sort of like stops and they shake hands, because it's like he's not really used to like, especially like a son type character, like being grateful to him. But like Tal gets like kidnapped on the way home from work, and they basically like beat him up and like stub a cigarette out in his face and that type of stuff, because they're like, they don't like the fact that he's starting to become more comfortable where he is,
independent.
But
they
want to control him and his family.
That he has to be a child,
and then like Clint Eastwood like finds one of the gang members and basically like kicks the shit out of him and pulls a gun on him. Is like, look, if you don't leave Tal alone and I have to come back here, like you're dead. But basically there's like a scene the next day then where Clint Eastwood's just sitting in his living room watching TV. It's night time, and there's like a cart pulls up outside Tal's house, and like you just see a couple of like Uzis get pointed out the window, and they just open fire, so it's a drive-by, and they take off, and Clint Eastwood like runs across it. What's happening here? They basically were trying to kill the family. They didn't hit the grandmother, they didn't hit the mother. They did hit Tal, but only like skimmed him, so he was fine. But like Sue wasn't there, so they're like, what the f-? She said she was away to like be with her auntie. They rang, she wasn't there, so they're like, what's happened to her? And then like they wait around for a while, and then Sue comes back and she's like really in bad shape. Without being too crass, they basically
well, like, we'll bleed it out, but R word.
Yeah. And like they're her own family, so it's like even weirder. But so Clint Eastwood goes home, and like the priest, who's sort of been like a character who's been like helping Clint Eastwood throughout the whole movie, comes over and is like, what are you planning to do? And he's just like, well, I need to do something, because Tal and Sue aren't going to find peace in this, like, in the world while this gang is like out and about. But even though the gang has done all these things, anytime it's reported, no one cares. But basically,
it's a lot of effort to just move house. It's like, you want to stay put.
Well, it's more just the fact that like, especially when it's like, I think what the movie was trying to set up was like, if it's like this gang is doing attacks on like they're basically like other Asians in the area, like it's not really, they just consider it's more considered that they're just like, it's not really getting the notoriety that it deserves, basically. And basically what happens is like,
American police.
Where's the police in this film? Like, what the hell?
Well, I'll get to that. So basically, there's like a scene where you basically know that like Clint Eastwood knows he's probably not going to come back from whatever he does, because like, he goes to like, he does a confession, which is the priest has been trying to get him to do the whole movie and he hasn't been willing to do. He does it, and you learn a lot about his character. He goes to like a tailor and gets like a custom suit made, and he's like, oh, I've always wanted one of these. He gets like he goes back to the hairdresser guy and says he wants like a shave and stuff, and the guy's like, I've been your barber for like 30 years and you've never asked me once to do a shave. And he's just like, oh, I'll just do it. And like he starts smoking cigarettes in the house, and he's talking to the dog, being like, like, wife never let me do it, but I'm going to do it anyway. So you kind of know, okay, he kind of knows that he's not coming back from whatever this mission is. And like, he invites Tao over to be like, right, I've got like guns in the basement, we're going to do this, like the two of us. So he sends Tao down, but then he locks the basement door. And Tao comes up and is like, what the let me out? And Clint Eastwood's like, no, because you don't know what it's like. I've been to like, I've been through the Korean War and stuff. You don't know what it's like to feel to like kill a guy. But I can tell you, it's not something you want to have on your conscience. So I'm doing this by myself. You're not doing it. And he basically, so he's like, what the f-? And then he rings Sue and tells her, like, Tal's locked in the basement. The key's here. Let him out. Because by that point it'll be too late anyway. He'll be away. So he goes, and he shows up at the house, and like all the gang members come out and start like threatening him, and he's like sort of like having banter with them back, and sort of like, and there's like, the music's starting to build, and you start to see like all along the street, like all these like Asian families are like coming out in the street, sort of looking and being like, what's happening? And it's like you're sort of wondering like, how's Clint Eastwood going to get out of this?
Because he's like an older man.
There's like, yeah, not only that, but there's like these 5 gang members, and they've all got like guns pointed at him, and he's just standing there like, you're like, what is he going to do? Is he going to like pull out a gun? Like, what's he going to do? But basically, what happens is, I kind of skipped over a point as well. There's a point earlier in the film, I said he was coughing up blood. That happens a few times. He basically goes to the doctor, and it doesn't spell it out for you. You only get a glimpse at some like papers, but you get an idea that there's something wrong with him. There's like a scene where like he's holding like medical records, and he calls his son at night to see if he can sort of strike up a conversation with him, and his son's just like, "Oh, sorry, I'm busy," and it's sort of like a sad scene. But he's outside the gang's house, and all this stuff is happening. And they're all like threatening him, pointing guns, and he puts like a cigarette in his mouth, and he's just like, he just asks him, he's just like, "Oh, have you got a light?" And then they're all like really tense. They're like, you can see them shaking. Like they're obviously there's young gangsters. They don't know they're stupid, but they have guns pointed. They're really like tense. And he's like sort of like playing them. He's just like, "Oh, I've got a light," and he puts his hand into his pocket, and you can sort of hear him like say a prayer, and then he quickly pulls his hand out like that, and they all just open fire on him, and he just like collapses, and you sort of like, what the and it sort of like shows his hand, and literally all he did take out of his pocket was his lighter. So then like the police do show up, and so does Tao and Sue. They come in the car, and like there's one of the police officers keep pushing them back, but there's one police officer that is also like from the same country as like he's Asian. So he like sort of like, Tao was like, "No, please, you have to tell me," and then he says it in his own language, like, "What happened?" And the Asian police officer basically tells him he went for his lighter and they shot him. He didn't even have a gun on him. But because all these people seen it happen, these people are going to go away for a long time. So it's like he essentially sacrificed himself because he was like, "Okay, I'll pull out my lighter, they'll all shoot me."
All the witnesses
But because the witnesses will see it, then they'll get put
But
away.
I think
that's cool.
That's pretty cool. 'Cause, like, usually when in the worlds of like the movie like Nobody, John Wicks, you need like kind of not non-friendly. They
Well,
can
even
be
Clint
friendly.
Eastwood, but he's known for like being the gunslinger guy.
Yeah.
that does
But
that.
this seems like more average down. He wasn't really.
It's not.
killing
It's not.
anyone in
It's
this,
not
he
meant
was
to be. It's
just
not meant to be like the uninspired old guy that kills people. It's more like
a regular veteran.
he figures out a solution to stop a problem. And realizes his only way of doing it, rather than the typical movie where he just gung ho starts firing, pulls out like 2 pistols and starts killing them all. John
Because like realistically, he wouldn't be able to kill all of those people.
Yeah,
just him.
The end of the movie is basically they're in the church after the funeral. That's another thing. His family was weirded out because like it shows like the one half of the church, and it's all like, or a small number of Clint Eastwood's family, and they're all like looking over at the other side weird, and it pans over and it's like a whole like rows of like the Asian people, basically like they went to his funeral. And then it cuts to the reading of the will, and like he's left nothing to his family. Like it starts off as like, "I want to leave my house to the church because my wife would have wanted that." So they didn't get the house went straight to the church. And then the last thing on the list is like, "And I want to leave my 1968 Gran Torino," or is it 7? It's an old Gran Torino. I want to leave it too. And then it like cuts to like the granddaughter, and she's like, it's almost honestly kind of an ugly scene to watch because she's getting all hyped up, and her mum's like sort of like nudging her out there like, "Oh, you're gonna get the car," and it's like really disgusting to watch because you're like, that's so messed up. And then the priest goes on to basically say, "My friend Tal Van Loor," so he got the Gran Torino left to him, and it's like you can see the family getting like all pissed off.
The good guys win.
They're all sitting there. The family are all sitting there going like, "What the f?" Like as the camera like sort of zooms in past them, it's quite nice. So it zooms in past the family sitting going, "What the f?" into Tal's face, and you can just see the way he's sort of smiling. That he's sort of like just as he's hearing the will, he's just sort of like thinking about what Walt, which is Clint Eastwood's character, like you can imagine him saying that, and it's sort of like then there's like this scene where it ends where he's like driving off essentially into the sunset, assumingly on his way to work, and he's got like the dog that Clint Eastwood had in like the passenger seat. It's just like a really like nice ending.
How I describe it, it feels as if it has like a lot of like, different aspects to it that I like from like the like description of the plot, where it's one, a coming of age story for one character, two, it's like up for Tao, two, father son or like kind of bond, and like building character that goes beyond race, And I think that's
Yeah.
one cool thing. Is like you have a guy within the Korean War who probably subconsciously has like not a dislike,
No,
but like
there's
a
a lot
fear
of things
towards
throughout the film.
some Asian cultures.
It's not even like just Asian cultures. There's a lot of like scenes throughout the film where like that's the thing the film was mostly criticised for. There's a lot of scenes that people deemed racist
Yeah.
because like there's like a scene where like Sue's getting harassed by a couple of like African American guys and like there's like an interaction between them and Clint Eastwood, and it's like, but the whole point of the movie is it's not like, some people think it was too tasteless because the amount of like racial jokes or slurs in the movie was too much, but the whole point of the movie is someone who is coming from where Clint Eastwood's coming from.
Yeah, and then overcoming
Changing
that
them.
for
Yeah,
This is
like,
probably
yeah.
someone who's
changing their
lived,
mindset.
you know, like experiences like that.
Like for young people else, when we were growing up, was like you're taught certain things, and like a lot of young people always forget, like, you know, if you've been in these wars, if you've been in these scenarios, like it does warp your mind. Your mind can be warped to certain things, and it's like,
Yeah,
I mean, it
Quentin
doesn't
Tarantino-
condone it. Doesn't condone it. Like,
Yeah.
you'll never say condones it, but when you have characters that have like, because I've seen it in other shows and stuff as well, where you have characters which actually have arcs where they overcome
Yeah.
their fear, whether it be like racism, whether it be like prejudice against like certain people, etc. It should be something that's like a good thing, and not seen as like a, hey, this is bad because he started off bad. You can judge someone for that, but seeing that with the character like and praise throughout the story, I think that's a pretty good thing.
It's a bittersweet thing.
Yeah.
You know, you lose. What's the character's name? The main character.
Walt.
Walt, but
I think it's Walt Kowalski. He's like,
Cause
you lose him, but it's for the greater good.
Yeah,
Like,
he
he's sacrificed
he
himself.
sacrificed himself for a whole Asian community in that time.
Yeah.
And
So it's
like,
sad, but it's like happy. It's like a funeral.
but yeah, it's like,
well, obviously
really
like, you
good.
find out it's sort of hinted at that he might be dying anyway. So he's like,
yeah.
like, I feel bad because of things I've done in the Korean War and all this stuff. The least thing what I could do right now is I could at least go out doing something that'll help people that I like
Yeah.
care about. Although I've like obviously went through the plot, I would really want to show you. It's a really good film,
No, it sounds really good.
but it
Like-
kind of breaks the expectation as well. Because like I said earlier, you watch movies like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly with Dirty Harry, where like Clint Eastwood is like this gun wielding like you
Mhm.
know.
Yeah, that's just like
Dawn.
badass for the sack of it. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's like
almost,
John
yeah.
Wick style, where it's like Jesus
Like,
Christ.
Dirty Harry movies are really, really good. I like them, but like you sort of go into this being like, is it Clint Eastwood made another film like this as an old man?
It's evolution.
But it's
You know, it's
not.
like-
You think that's what it's going to be like, but it's not. It's like a completely different thing, and it's
And
really
it's also very good. Oh, people. I always say people say it's tasteless, but I think it's almost more tasteful in the idea that like, you know, he recognizes his age.
Mhm.
He recognizes story aspects that can be used, and like he pushes that for a whole entire movie that he's directing.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like he recognizes he is an old man, so like he's not gonna be this like, he can still
He
be a
gun
badass
welder, where he's
character, but in a
like-
different
yeah.
way, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to have different views because he's meant to be a veteran at this point. He's
Yeah.
not like a young, bashful, like, gunslinger. He's like, he can just be like, not cock, like, he can just be this like, all
Yeah.
charming, all like character that you're going to have.
Like
things.
if those scenes in Dirty Harry, like if you had that whole thing at the end with the gangsters in the house, if that was like a Dirty Harry movie from like 30 years prior, you would have had him taking out his gun and like getting all of them.
Yeah.
And everyone's
It's
just
like-
falling off their horse.
So
you know.
that's what you expect going into it because it's Clint Eastwood, but then you see what actually happened. It's like, okay, this actually like gets you.
It actually shows his like actual potential.
Yeah.
It's better than just some mad fiction.
There's two films since, because he made that a while ago. It was like 2009.
Mm.
So he made in 2019, I think it was, a film called The Mule.
Yeah.
Heard
Which
about
is-
that? Yeah,
which
yeah,
I
yeah.
think he's like almost like a drug runner in it,
Yeah.
and everyone thought that was going to be his last film because there's a line in that. It's a very like emotionally charged trailer, and there's like a line in it where he's like, this is the last time, and you're like, oh god, this is really like. I didn't get a chance to see it because it was so. Do you remember that was around the time, started 2019? There was 3 movies in cinema at the same time that I wanted to go see. I couldn't afford to do it. There was Stan and Ollie, which I was the only one of the 3 I did go and see because my parents took me to go see it. Then there was Glass, which I really wanted to see because obviously it's a Shyamalan
Yeah,
film.
Shyamalan film.
You and Tyrone went to see it. I couldn't go see it. And then the third one was The Mule. Still haven't seen it. And then I think it was 2021. which was his latest film. It was called Cry Macho, and I really wanted to see it in cinema, but seeing Dale wasn't able to.
Yeah.
But I'm like,
Wow.
I'm praying that Cry Macho was not his last film, because although he's obviously getting quite old and like, or he is very old, I'm like,
He's still got a lot of ideas to make films about him.
Yeah.
well, there's that plus the fact that like, I just really want to, as the new one comes out, see a Clint Eastwood film in cinema before it's
Yeah,
obviously
before it's
too
too
late.
late, yeah.
Like that's why I was so disappointed I didn't get to see The Mule or
It's
Cry
kind of like
Macho.
Stan Lee, but like no one wants to watch Marvel films
Yeah.
anymore, right?
Decent. Yeah, that's why you work hard on that. You get your own cinema in your house. You know, you watch the films
I
you
know,
want to when
like
you
we
want to.
could do that. Like there's
Yeah.
places that re-shows, sure, like
Bruce calls up Warner Bruce. You know, so if you just send me like the
No,
film
that is-
reel of this,
that
Just
is
because
cool.
like
I
a
would
crate
love
and a
to have-
helicopter, they drop a cinema.
I'd love to have like my own cinema, you know, sort of thing in the house. But it's like I want the experience of going to a cinema to see a Clint
Yeah.
Eastwood film, you know, that's just
Yeah,
kinda-
I
Rather-
might go to
rather
the
than a
cinema
Marvel
just buying
movie.
snacks.
but not like between him, Seagal.
Oh, Steven Seagal was in that film.
There's plenty of
The Lads of
actors.
the
We have to have like actor special movies.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. You were mentioning that.
So like actor special podcast where we sit down and watch a movie from each actor, something like that. That's an idea for the future.
So would you say Steven Seagal is your favourite action star? I would probably say Clint Eastwood might be mine, you know. Not so much action, he's not really...
It's really tough.
Great.
Between him and Channing Tatum and G.I. Joe.
Channing Tatum's the best stripper in cinema. Okay, you can't judge my mind.
You what army?
My army.
My army. I need to watch that with you.
Wait, let's do it.
G.I. Joe Rise of the Cobra Man.
Let's get it.
But no,
Oh, there's a point I wanted to make earlier, just really quick. The Quentin Tarantino thing. Just the ideas. What's he called again? My brain just went blank.
Robert Downey Jr.
No, the guy in the film we're just talking about.
Clint Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
This is when Michael's brain breaks.
Yeah, my brain just broke there. That a filmmaker's ideas kind of represents them, or is their bibliography? No, he said that in an interview Quentin Tarantino. I was like, oh my goodness, it's kind of right.
Is he not
It's
about
like-
to direct his last film? Like he says it's going to be his last film.
Last, yeah, pretty sure.
Speaking of, I watched.
Hopefully not.
I watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood recently.
Yeah,
and like I always forget how strangely Tarantino's films are structured, but
it's a bit all over the place.
yeah, it's like
but it all
it's all
ties
over the place.
together.
It's a bit all over the place. It ties together at the very end. You're not really expecting much, but then it all kind of comes together at the end.
Yeah, that's what he's actually known for.
It's so like I always
These
forget
big
how good his
ideas
movies
and
are.
that all getting tied together.
Yeah.
Because that's actually, everyone said he's mastered cinema by that.
Well, maybe we'll talk about Tarantino's films
We might do.
in another podcast. But for now, that's been episode 16 of the Post Production Podcast, and we hope to see you all next week.
We will indeed. See you later.
Oh, you're so strong, Tom. Bits of black.